Ooh, first time in studio? You nervous?
This is my second time in studio. Good thing I made an impression the first time.
Such a great impression. Tyler Lindell of Hatch Realty. How are you, pal?
Good. You had no idea that this is my second time, did you?
I just wanted to see if you remembered the first time.
Oh, I remembered. And you did not.
It's been over a year. Can I?
It has been over a year.
Thank you. Yeah. My Rolodex only goes back for 52 weeks, and so good to have you here, Tyler. Grafton native, right?
Yep.
Tell us about you. Tell us about your family. Tell us about what you're passionate about.
Not born in Jamestown, but raised in Grafton, and then. When I graduated, I went to a Bible school in the cities, Free Lutheran Bible School, and then after that, I went to NDSU, got my LEd degree. That's where I met my wife.
It's a cute story. Can you share that story? It's a cute story.
Which one?
How you met Kylie.
Stalked her on Facebook and then added her, and then she
accepted.
I will say
that wasn't as cute as I was remembering.
No, but I will say that she, as I added her, she messaged me first.
Oh.
So.
Okay, but you saw this beautiful woman in one of your classes and added her on Facebook without ever introducing yourself.
It's not as weird as it actually is kind of weird the more you say it, but it's, yeah.
You and your wife are one of the most charming couples I've ever met. No joke. She's so funny and vivacious and beautiful, and then you show up too and take some of her credit.
Yeah, I try to be. How would I say it? Yeah, you're right.
And you just got back from vacation. You spent a week in California, right?
We were, yep. So that was good. We rented a car, never done that in California, and basically drove all over in Santa Barbara, Santa Monica, and then San Diego. So.
Perfect. And then you graduated from NDSU. You spent some time coaching hockey. You spent some time teaching, and then you were doing some youth ministry also.
Yep.
And then you found your way to us at Hatch Realty, right?
Yep.
It's been 3.5 years now. Is that about right?
I think it's, probably 3.5, 4 years. Yeah.
Okay. And you've gone, Tyler, from being the new kid on the block to like the leading lady in our production. Like you are a massively powerful agent. How are you having so much success so early?
What does leading lady mean?
I don't know. I was going to say leading man, but leading lady.
Okay, I want to know exactly what. I'll ask you later. So what was the question?
How have you gone from the new kid on the block to really the top producer on our buyer side?
So we have a lot of amazing leaders, and I mean on the buying side, the listing side, everywhere throughout Hatch Realty. So when I started, basically I was like, hey, I want to be one of them, and so basically I set a path for myself, and each year I just wanted to keep doing something different, and it's just created a whole different mindset and journey for my family. And now I have a team with myself and then Nick, who was with me my first time on here, but you didn't remember that. Stings. But no, and yeah, things have been great. And to be honest, it all started with just taking the plunge and doing something different and wanting to be basically setting my journey different from what I was on. So
the average realtor in the United States sells between 6 and 10 houses a year. How many houses will you and your partner Nick sell this year?
Gosh, I would say maybe, I guess we're on track for 85, 90.
Yeah, and
is that right?
You've been pacing between 80 and 120, just depends on the month, right?
Yep.
Understand that you are, as far as I'm concerned, you're 10xing what other average realtors do, and you are anything but average. You're exceptional, and you're finding yourself all the time writing offers, moving on properties, helping your clients win every day. Let's rewind the clock back just a little bit, Tyler. 2015, 2016 were our busiest years on record in terms of multiple offers and that sort of thing. That means that when a seller has a property, more than one buyer is making an offer on it at the same time. How often are you seeing multiple offers now in our market?
I think it's not as much, but I think it's more than what people think, actually. Really? It depends on the price range.
Okay.
Anything.
So what price range would be ripe for a multiple offer?
If there's a house that's, anywhere from 130 to probably 180, 185, I would assume that if it has all the check marks for us, it has all the check marks for someone else if it came on that day or within that week. And so I try to be as aggressive as possible. And if it has all the check marks, the nice thing is if I'm gone, and I try not to be gone, but when I am, like last week, Nick's able to get, my partner's able to get people in there within an hour, within 30 minutes. I remember last year, one of my good friends, we saw a house and came on the market, and with 2.5 hours, we had an accepted offer. But there was 3 other offers.
So how do you manage a win in a situation like that for your clients? Because you're working, if you're going to sell 85 houses this year, you're now juggling how many clients at any given time, and oftentimes speed is necessary. But how are you winning all the time? Because you're winning more than you're losing.
The biggest thing is getting in the house right away. We have a lot of flexibility. We're able to get in homes right away, and we're efficient. Like, we don't waste time.
So speed matters.
Speed is huge in that price range, especially.
So you said really under 200,000 has been the hottest market, right?
That's super hot right now, and it still is.
So hot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So hot. Ansel.
So when we get into the 200 to 250 range, or 200 to 300 range, what can a buyer experience or expect in that kind of price range?
In that price range, we're going to be looking at, first off, depending on how many days on market it is, but we're getting closing costs covered, I would say 85 to 90% of the time.
And explain closing costs covered.
So
that's a hard word to say.
Yep,
That's a hard thing to say.
Closing costs are going to be anything that are associated with like lender fees, basically getting the appraisal ordered, title work, setting all that stuff up, and typically 2 to 3% of the purchase price.
Okay, so if it's a $200,000 home, you can expect $5,000 in closing
I would
costs?
say, yep, 5 all the way up to 300, maybe 6,500 maybe. It depends on what you're trying to get in there too, but that's a good range.
Okay, so what you're negotiating for your folks is essentially that the seller pays those, so the buyer doesn't have those out-of-pocket expenses.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. What happens when we get over $300,000? What can a buyer experience in that price range?
Again, all depends on days on market, but we're getting the purchase price down. I mean, even if it's within the first week, we're never going in full price. We're asking for closing costs to be covered. And I'm a buyer's agent, so I'm not on the listing side. So listing agents listening probably despise me. But we have the aggressiveness at that price point to go in, get as much off as possible. And yeah.
Why is that? Why are you able to be so much more aggressive the higher the price goes?
Less buyers, and a lot of the time it's going to be if it's someone who it's their first home. And if you're able to buy a home at that price point on your first home, congrats to you. But a lot of times it's contingent. So,
and when it's contingent means that they still have to sell their house, right?
Correct. Yep. So we're working on selling their home. But if they have their home sold, we can be pretty aggressive and go after it. And basically all I have to do is find the home and negotiate the price.
It's really a supply and demand model, isn't it, Tyler?
Yep.
When we find ourselves in a situation where we're dealing with houses at 3, 4, 5, 600,000 and beyond, there's power in the buyer's hands. But that's not everyone. I think that most people live in the under 300 range. The majority of our houses that we sell are in that price point. So how do you win for someone in a much more aggressive stance where the seller has a little more leverage?
So you're talking about the price point of 130 to 180, right?
Yeah, anything under 200.
So anything with that, we're going to be looking at comps, homes that have sold. And to be honest, like we talked about closing costs, the way that we've set up, like when we're going to see the home. So if Nick's going to look at the home right away, I'm looking at comps and I'm trying to figure out, are we able to get, if our client needs closing costs covered, sure, we can roll a little bit on top of the purchase price, but we're trying to still be under that with closing costs if possible. It's all about if you can be the first one in, and then I also put some verbiage in there, basically in other terms, to get an offer accepted before the night's over.
Okay.
If we can do that and not have the house go to the next day, we are in front of so many different people. And yeah, it sets us up to be successful and win with what you're talking about. So,
and obviously your stats show that you're winning for your clients more than you're losing, and that's not to be said across the industry. You've developed really sharpened skills. You and Nick together have the speed that's essential. You know the right things to say and the way to say it. Dude, I'm really proud of you for what it's worth. You've changed your stars for you and Kylie already, and we're just beginning. There's a huge, huge career ahead of you, and I can't wait to see where you go.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You bet. Folks, we're going to go to break. If you want to learn more about Tyler, head to hatchrealty.com. You can see all his details and get in contact with him if you want some great representation. This is Real Estate Radio with Erik Hatch.